You've been spending long hours looking for the perfect content idea, with no clue where to look, what's actually going to go viral, or whether or not your videos are even going to perform. Look, you cannot run a successful personal brand if you don't have ideas that your audience actually wants or feels like they need. In the past couple of years, I have generated over 1 billion views on social media and made millions of dollars in client revenue. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the entire process of researching content ideas from scratch that actually go viral. So if you've never done proper content research before, or you're just not 100% sure of what content strategy that you should be using to consistently get views and engagement, this is the exact video that you need. In this video, I'm going to walk you through every single step to help you find unlimited content ideas that your audience actually wants to watch. And I'm going to show you the same exact tools and frameworks that I use with my clients who pay me thousands of dollars every month for this exact research process. Now, before we break down the entire research process, let me tell you the biggest misconception about content research that's costing business owners millions of views. Most people think content research is about finding what's trending and copying it. That's not research, that's reaction. And if you're just reacting to trends, you're always going to be late to the party. Real content research is about understanding the psychology behind why certain content works, and then using that understanding to predict what will work before it even trends. And this is exactly how all the viral creators are consistently getting millions of views. They're using a systematic research process that works every single time. Let me walk you through it. Stage 1, understanding your audience psychology. Now here's what changes everything when it comes to content research. You need to stop asking, what content should I create? And start asking, what psychological state is my audience in when they're scrolling? And this is the difference between creators who get hundreds of views versus creators who get millions of views. The 100 views creators create content based on what they think is valuable, while the creators who get millions of views make content based on what their audience's brain is actually looking for. And let me explain the psychology behind this. When someone opens up Instagram or YouTube, they're not in learning mode. They are in what psychologists call entertaining seeking mode, with a side of accidental education. Their conscious brain thinks that they're just going to scroll for a few minutes and relax, but their subconscious brain is actually searching for 3 specific things. And that's number 1, content that validates their current beliefs or challenges them in an interesting way. Number 2, content that makes them feel something, whether that's inspiration, anger, curiosity, or entertainment. Number 3, content that gives them a story to tell themselves about who they are or what they want to become. Here's where most business creators completely miss the mark. They create helpful content that teaches their audience something useful. And yes, that content might get saved later, but it doesn't get shared. It doesn't go viral because it doesn't tap into all 3 psychological needs. So let me show you how to research what your audience actually wants versus what you think they need. So first, you'll use what's called a 3-layer audience analysis. And starting with layer number 1 is the surface level. What are they asking for? So you go to the comments on your videos and your competitors' videos. You will look at what questions people are asking, what problems they're mentioning, and what objections they're raising. But here's the trick. You don't just collect these questions. You analyze the emotion behind them. For example, when someone comments, "How do I get more followers?" the surface question is about follower count. But the deeper psychological need is usually about credibility, authority, or validation. When you understand the emotion behind the question, you can create content that addresses both the surface question and the deeper need. That's when content goes from good to viral. Layer 2 is the behavioral level, what they're actually watching. You don't just look at what people say they want. You look at what they're actually consuming, because human behavior reveals truth that words can't. So you analyze which types of videos gets the highest watch time, which one gets saved the most, which ones get shared, and most importantly, you look at the patterns across all the data. Layer 3 is the identity level. Who does your audience want to become? Now, this is the deepest and most powerful level of audience research. It's where most business owners never go because they don't understand the psychology. Your audience doesn't just want information. They want transformation. They want to become a different version of themselves. So every piece of viral content you've ever analyzed taps into the identity transformation at some level. So when someone watches a video about how to wake up at 5 a.m., They're not just learning about alarm clocks. They're trying to figure the type of person who wakes up at 5 a.m. Someone who's disciplined, successful, in control of their life. When you create content that speaks to this identity transformation, you offer a vision of who they want to become. And that's psychologically irresistible. So here's how you research this identity layer. You look at who your audience is following besides you. What do those accounts represent? What identity do they signal? You analyze the language your audience uses to describe themselves in their bios and comments. Are they aspiring entrepreneurs, struggling parents, ambitious professionals? And you pay attention to their aspirational markers, which basically means the things that they're working toward, because that's where the emotional energy is. Once you understand all three layers, you have a complete psychological profile of your audience. And now you know exactly what content will resonate with them at a deep level. But understanding your audience psychology is only the first stage. Now you need to find actual content ideas that match the psychology, which leads me to stage 2, the platform research method. Here's what most business owners who create content get wrong about platform research. They think they need to find viral videos and copy them directly, but that's not research, that's imitation. And imitation always performs worse than the original because it lacks authenticity and the timing is just off. So real platform research is identifying patterns that indicate what will work, not what has already worked. And let me show you the exact process. So first, you identify 20 to 30 accounts in your niche that consistently gets high engagement. But you don't only pick the biggest creators. You pick accounts at different stages of growth. Why? Because the content strategy that works for a 500K account doesn't always work for a 5K follower account. The algorithm treats them differently and their audience has different expectations. So you want to see what's working at every level so you can identify universal patterns that transcend follower count. And once you have your list of strategic accounts, you do what's called pattern analysis. You're not looking at individual videos and thinking, I should make my version of this. You're looking at 50 to 100 videos from each account and asking, what patterns do the high-performing videos share? And here are the specific patterns you need to look for. Pattern number 1, hook structure. How are they opening their viral videos? What's the first sentence? What's the first visual? What emotion are they triggering immediately? You categorize every hook you find into different psychological types. So curiosity hooks, pattern interrupt hooks, negative hooks, controversial hooks, transformation promise hooks. Then you analyze which hook types consistently perform best for that audience. And this tells you what psychological triggers that specific audience responds to. Pattern number 2, content format. Are the viral videos educational, entertaining, storytelling, or a mix? What's the ratio of information to emotion? This reveals what content consumption mode that the audience is in when they're scrolling. Are they looking to learn, to be entertained, or to feel something? Pattern number 3, length and pacing. How long are the viral videos? How quickly do they deliver value? How many cuts per minute? This tells you about the attention span and the patience level of the audience, because some audiences can handle 90-second deep dive videos while some need rapid fire 15-second value bombs. Pattern number 4, viral topics. What subjects consistently perform well? What angles within those subjects get the most traction? For example, in the fitness niche, you might notice that weight loss content performs well, but specifically, weight loss for busy professionals performs even better. And you being specific is the gold mine. Let me give you a real example of how this pattern analysis works. When researching content strategy for my client named Pete, who went over 100,000 followers on Instagram, the analysis included 200 videos from the top creators. And here's what was found. The videos that went viral weren't the ones explaining complex concepts. They were the one using knowledge within his field to validate common beliefs or reveal surprising truths. So for example, what to do after getting pulled over? The hook could be, do these 3 things when you get pulled over so you don't get a ticket. Same information, but framed to trigger curiosity and a promise of a specific benefit. And once Pete's content strategy shifted to match these patterns, one of his videos hit 19.5 million views. But here's where the platform research gets really powerful. You don't just analyze what's working on one platform. You cross-reference patterns across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Because here's what most people don't realize. Each platform has slightly different changes within audience preferences, audience behaviors, algorithms, and all that. But underlying psychology is universal. When you find a content pattern that works across all 3 platforms, you know you've hit psychological gold. And that's a pattern rooted in human nature. For example, one pattern that works universally is negative hooks outperform positive hooks by an average of 3 to 1. So stop doing this on Instagram performs better than start doing this on Instagram. And the reason to this is because human brains are wired to avoid loss more than seek gain. And this is called loss aversion, and it's been proven in thousands of psychological studies. When you understand the psychology behind patterns, you can predict what will work before you even create it. Now here is the advanced technique that takes platform research to the next level. You use search features strategically to find content gaps, topics that have a high search volume but low competition. So on TikTok, you type in a broad keyword related to your niche and look at the suggested searches that appear. These suggestions are based on real user search behavior. They're literally telling you what people want to know. Then you analyze how many videos exist for each of those searches. If there's high search interest but only a few videos covering that topic, that is a content gap that you can fill. On Instagram, you could do the same exact thing with the Real Search feature. You type in keywords and see what related topics pop up. Then you check how recent the top videos are, and if the top results are from like 6 months ago, that tells you that there's an opportunity to create fresh content on that topic. On YouTube, you use the search bar autocomplete and look at the people also search for section. Same principle, you're already looking for high interest topics with room for new perspectives. Now, this strategic platform research helps you identify content opportunities that your competitors completely miss. And it's a huge reason why creators consistently go viral, even in saturated niches. But finding great content ideas is only half the battle. You need a system to organize them so you can actually use them, which leads me to stage number 3, the content database system. Here's the truth. Most business owners creating content have more content ideas than they'll ever use, but they still feel like they have no ideas. Why? Because they have no system for organizing, categorizing, and prioritizing those ideas. You have seen creators with 500 ideas saved in their notes app, but when it's time to film, they freeze because they can't decide what to create. That's not a creativity problem. That's an organizational problem. And let me show you the exact system you should use to manage thousands of content ideas. You use a tool called Notion. You could also use Airtable, Google Sheets, or any database tool. The tool doesn't matter, but the system does. I personally use Notion. Your content database should have 6 critical fields for every idea. Field 1, the idea itself. You don't write Instagram growth tips, you write the actual hook or title. You're never going to grow on Instagram if you keep doing this one thing. Why? And the reason behind this is because a vague idea is useless. A specific hook is actionable. And when it's time to script content, you could just grab the hook and start scripting. Field number 2, the psychological trigger. What emotion or need does this content tap into? Is it curiosity, fear, aspiration, validation? All that. Now, this helps you ensure that you're not creating the same type of content over and over again. You want to mix up in the psychological triggers so that way you're appealing to different audience states. Field number 3, the content stage. Is this top of funnel content that attracts new audiences, middle funnel content that builds trust, or bottom of funnel content that drives conversion? Now, this is critical because you need a mix of all 3 to build a sustainable content strategy. If everything is top of funnel, you'll get views but no business. If everything is bottom of funnel, you'll get no reach. Field number 4, the platform fit. Is this idea better suited for Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, or long form YouTube? Some ideas work everywhere, but some are platform specific based on format, length, or audience behavior, and categorizing this up front saves you time later. In all honesty, I always try to push more for Instagram Reels because that's more of a stronger algorithm, and I take that one video and post it into all platforms. However, depends on what platform you like the most. Field number 5, the viral profitability score. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is this idea to go viral based on the patterns that you've researched? Now, this helps you prioritize which ideas to execute first when you want to maximize reach. High scoring ideas get moved to the top of your production queue. Field number 6, I need 2 hands now, the business impact potential. How likely is this piece of content going to drive leads, sales, or valuable connections? Because here's the truth, not all viral content is good for business. Some videos get millions of views but attract the wrong audience. You want to prioritize ideas that are both viral and valuable. Now here's how you actually use this database. Every single day, you spend 15 minutes adding new ideas. This could be from your platform research, from audience comments, from conversations you've had, or just random inspiration. The key is consistency. If you add 5 ideas per day, that's 150 ideas per month. 1,800 ideas per year. And you're only going to create maybe 200, 300 videos a year unless you are top-notch creator, and I hope you are. But Just let's be realistic, you're not going to use all those ideas as well. And that means you're always working from abundance, never scarcity. And that psychological difference is huge. When you feel like you have no ideas, you create desperate content on whatever you can find. And you could choose what you do and don't want to create. And your audience can feel the difference, to be honest. Now, having a database full of ideas is great, but you need to know which ideas to execute first. Which leads me to stage 4, validation before creation. Now, this one mistake costs business owners thousands of hours and kills their motivation. That is, creating content that never had a chance to succeed. They spend hours scripting, filming, and editing a video based on a hunch. Then it flops, they're confused, frustrated, and demotivated. And this is why validation is the most important stage of content research. Before you create any piece of content, you validate that the idea has viral potential. And there's a specific framework for this. It's called a 5-signal system. Starting with signal number 1, search volume. Is anyone actually looking for this information? You check this on each platform's search feature. If you type in the related keywords and nothing comes up, that's a bad sign. It either means that there's no interest or the platform doesn't have enough data because no one's searching for it. But if related searches pop up with millions of views, you know that there's demand. Signal number 2, comment demand. Are people asking for this in the comments? So you go to popular videos in your niche and read the comments. What questions are people asking? What objections are they raising? What follow-up tactics are they requesting? When you see the same question asked multiple times across different videos, that is validation that people want this content. Signal number 3, existing performance. Has similar content already been proven successful? You look for videos on the same topic and analyze their performance. If multiple creators have made videos on this topic and they've all flopped, that's a red flag. But if you find even one video on this topic that went viral, you know that there's potential. You just need to execute it better or from a different angle. Signal number 4, current relevance. Is this topic timely right now? Some ideas are evergreen, they work at any time, but some ideas are time sensitive. They are only relevant right now because of current events, trending topics, or seasonal interest. If you have a time sensitive idea, it moves to the top of your production queue because the window of opportunity is limited. Signal number 5, your unique angle. Do you have a perspective or insight that makes this different from existing content? This is the most important signal. Even if a topic has been covered before, if you have a unique angle, fresh data, or personal experience that no one else can offer, that content can still go viral. The key is to be different. You're not just repackaging the same information, you're adding something new to the conversation. So for me, there's a lot of social media gurus out there who just tell you things to do, but I'm actually good at psychology. Marketing is all based off psychology, and that is my differentiation to the game. But in all honesty, here's what separates the people who get results from the system versus the people who just watch this video and do nothing. Consistency. The research process works, but it only works if you actually do it consistently. You can't just research content ideas once and expect to have enough for the year. You need to make this a regular practice. Spend 30 minutes every single day on content research, and that's around 3.5 hours per week, about 15 hours per month. And that 15 hours of research fuels hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue in your business. And this is actually very true. Because here's the truth, content research isn't just about finding ideas. It's understanding your market so deeply that you can predict what they want before they even know it. And that's the difference between business owners who struggle with content versus business owners who dominate. And that is the complete guide to content research that generated over 1 billion views for my clients. Now you have 2 options. You could take everything that I showed you in this video and apply it to your content strategy. And this research process works if you follow it consistently. You will find viral content ideas and will never struggle to ideate viral videos ever again. Or you could click the first link in the description and let me do the research for you, build your content strategy, script your videos, edit them for you, and make sure that you're creating content that actually gets views and makes you money based off psychology. If that sounds like you, click the first link in the description and I'll see you there.